As spring practices start across the country this month, several teams will begin the 2023 season with a new quarterback under center. Established veterans such as former Heisman Trophy winner Bryce Young, two-time national champion and former walk-on Stetson Bennett, and first-round pick C.J. Stroud are just a few of the quarterbacks who will no longer roam the college sidelines. As spring quarterback battles begin, new household names will emerge. The outstanding credentials they racked up in high school no longer matter. Their play on the field and at this level determines whether their teams are legitimate contenders or pretenders. The one quarterback battle the nation will observe closely is in Athens, Georgia, with Carson Beck, Brock Vandagriff, and Gunnar Stockton. Carson Beck, last year, he only played in 7 games. He was the only backup to really get a lot of PT. Threw for just 310 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. But he completed 74% of his passes. His 2 competitors are Brock Vandagriff, who played in 3 games, but he only attempted 2 passes. He's a former 5-star prospect. All right, according to 24/7 Sports, he ranked as the number 2 dual threat quarterback prospect in Georgia, and he was the number 14 overall. And then last, you got freshman Gunnar Stockton. This guy was a 4-star prospect, and he was number 7 prospect nationally. As you know, Kirby's been having some outstanding recruiting classes over the past 4 years, and he's got a stockpile of talent at quarterback. It's just going to take which one is going to come out and actually be able to lead Georgia, back to the SEC championship and the national championship.
I mean, that's the question everybody's going to have. It's hard for one of us to be like, oh, this guy's going to be better than this guy. This guy's going to be better than this guy. All of them are unproven, right? Regardless of what they did in high school, regardless of, how little playing time they got last year. I just think it's up in the air.
I know Beck, he's the one, I guess, with the most experience. He's a 4th year, coming in his 4th year next year. But Vandagriff, a 5-star 2021 signee, and the other 2 are 4-stars. So, I mean, it's not a lack of talent at quarterback. Like you said earlier, though, it's just experience. So I think, was it Beck? He had a game against Vanderbilt where he got some reps in there. But other than that...
The biggest thing for me is going to be how Beck deals with all the pressure, of being that Georgia quarterback, because everything he do is going to be criticized. Is he ready for that amount of pressure that comes with leading a big program like Georgia?
Let him have 2-3 bad series against like Kentucky early in the season coming out.
So I'm going to go ahead and, my competition to watch, right, was Ohio State, right? So they got 2 guys there, Cal McCord and Devin Brown, right? So last year, Stroud's primary backup, actually the last 2 seasons, Stroud's primary backup was McCord, right? He's a former 5-star. He's a traditional pocket passer, right? And he's been successful during his time there as Stroud's backup, right? He's completing 70% of his passes. He's taken way more snaps than Brown has, right? I want to say 68 more total snaps than Brown. But Brown gives you that mobility. So, Brown was a high-ranking quarterback coming out of high school, and he's a dual threat guy. So he can get out there, get on the edge, and get stuff done. Create extra plays, extend plays with his feet, stuff like that. But I think that with all that being said, I think that Ohio State is going to have a down year, right? Because even with the level of talent that they had last year, they weren't able to get it done with C.J. Stroud. And this guy, I mean, he's a baller. He's a top 10 pick in the draft, and they weren't able to get it done with him. And so I feel like it's going to be a downgrade from either 2 of these, whoever wins the starting job. But I feel like they're going to go with Cal McCord, like I said, just based on experience, and Ryan Day, the way he calls plays. He's not a dual threat play caller. That's not what they do. So I see Cal McCord winning this job.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, he had already started, 1 game last year against Akron, right? And then in that game, he was 13 for 18. He threw for 319 yards and 2 touchdowns, which included an 85-yarder, was a catch and run with Emeka Ibuka, right? So, he's already got the experience. Unless Brown comes in and is a world beater, I just think that, most coaches crave experience.
Yeah, I mean, regardless though, you're trying to replace a player that you don't get but every couple of years. So CJ Stroud, I mean, we saw his numbers in the season. Dude, he played lights out for most of the season. I think in the UGA game, he had a little bit, showed his dual threat ability. So I think them having a guy with some experience that can sit in the pocket and throw the ball, because they have talent at wide receiver.
Yeah, I mean, you got Marvin Harrison Jr. coming back. Like, what more do you need? That's a quarterback's best friend right there.
I know.
And then in this upcoming class, they have, I want to say, 3 of in the top 15 receivers in this class. I want to say they have 3 of them. So I mean, that's a lot.
For me, man, I mean, we're looking at Ole Miss. Ole Miss crowded that QB room with talent, and it's incredible that one of these quarterbacks agreed to go there with a established starter there, right? So they got Jackson Dart, Spencer Sanders coming over from Oklahoma State, and they got LSU's freshman Walker Howard. So right off the bat, I mean, their previous year starter was Jackson Dart, and he played most of the games. He played 12 of the 13 games, right? They went 8-5. He completed 226 out of 362 passes, 20 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. And Saunders at Oklahoma State, 221 out of 368 passes, 17 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. Similar numbers, but then they got this talented freshman transfer. So it's going to be interesting who comes out of there. Is it going to be the person that gave you 8 wins last year, or somebody coming over to who's going to win that one? That's going to be interesting to see.
I've said this before as well. I'm really curious to see what comes out of this. I think Lane signed those 2 quarterbacks to send a message to Jackson Dart to basically say, hey, though that season that you had last year wasn't good enough. To bring in, a veteran like Spencer Sanders, I don't see Jackson Dart keeping his job as a starting quarterback for Ole Miss. I just think that Spencer Sanders has the experience, and he's gonna flourish in Lane Kiffin's offense.
So watching Spencer Sanders in the Big 12 for the the last 4 years, he is exactly what Jackson Dart did last year. So Spencer Sanders would have a game where he threw for 400 yards and 5 touchdowns, right? And then the next game, he'd throw for 180, 0 touchdowns and 3 picks. So you never know what Spencer Sanders is going to show up on game day. You just have no idea.
But it's interesting how he got. I mean, how do you get these 3 quarterbacks to commit to come? And one of them knows that they're not going to start. They're not going to go a quarterback by committee. That's not how. I don't think they're going to operate that. But Lane Kiffin must have been whispering something sweet in their ear. They'd be like, hey, yeah, come over here to Ole Miss, because he probably has the most loaded quarterback room outside of the starter, right, in college football right now.
And like I said, he shouldn't give up on Jackson Dart just yet. I mean, he was at USC prior to coming to Ole Miss, man. So he's a talent. I think Kiffin just wants to see how would he do with competition, and then see if he starts to flourish, because he is that odd man out in Ole Miss. All right, well, that's it for this episode of the Unbiased Room. Please like and subscribe. See you later. Peace.